order. We have a quorum, right? Okay. Could I get approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Approval of the prior meeting minutes. We were sent out those. Can I have a motion to approve those, or are there any corrections or changes?
I'll move that.
Okay, we got a motion to move. We have a
I'll
second.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll go into the public hearings. Austin had an applicant, conditional use permit to allow for a used car lot in the B2 zone for 128 South Tower Road.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me? Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Planning Commission members. This is a request for a used car lot at 128 South Tower Road. This is a B2 zoning district, and a conditional use permit is required for a used car lot in this zone. And this is an aerial image of the subject property. So it's located at the intersection of Tower Road and Lincoln Avenue, but is accessed via a frontage road that is running parallel to Lincoln and connects with Western Avenue. To the west is Pine Plaza, which is an RV sales and repair lot, and has some other commercial uses in the building as well. To the south is a multi-family building. The east is a stormwater retention pond owned by the city of Fergus Falls. And just to the north across Lincoln Avenue is the former Hida's building, which is going to be redeveloped into a multi-practice dental clinic. For the surrounding zoning, most of the surrounding zoning is also the B2 business district zone. However, there is that multifamily building which is zoned B1, which is a zone that we don't see very often in the city, but is used primarily for some of those multifamily dwellings. It's sort of that buffer between some lower density residential uses or other R4 zoning districts and the commercial zones. But otherwise, as I'm sure you're well aware, this is the commercial corridor of the city. This is the applicant's proposal. So if you'd like me to pull up the PDF, just let me know and we can zoom in a little bit more. A more detailed site plan would be required for a building permit. But in general, you can see that the display area for the used cars would wrap around the west, the north, and the east of the property lines, with a 20 by 44 building located in that southeast corner of the property, with customer parking surrounding the building. So just
The building, am I just blind? Oh, that little square in the corner.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. And so there's just a couple of notes looking at this concept plan. The placement of the building overall looks like it would comply with that 20-foot setback, but some of the parking and display areas, particularly on the west, would need to be moved in to comply with the 10-foot setback for parking and display areas. And there also may need to be a couple more spaces of customer parking, just so that the applicant is aware of that as they go into the design phase if the conditional use permit is granted. As far as public comments and staff review, this was published in the Daily Journal to property owners within 350 feet. There have been no public inquiries that were received prior to publishing the staff report or since the staff report was published prior to 5 p.m. today. The information was also shared internally with city staff, with the building official, engineering, and fire department, and no comments were received. The proposed findings are shown on your screen, and they were just copied by the staff report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to go more in depth. But essentially, these are to support the recommended staff approval of this conditional use permit application with conditions. So the conditions were in the staff report and are listed on the screen. Conditions 2, 3, and 4 are from our zoning code. So the zoning code specifically states 3 conditions that a used car lot must meet in the B2 zone. And that first condition is our pretty standard, just message to citizens and applicants that building permits and licenses would be required, and conditional use permit approval is only one stop in the process. And the applicant is with us today as well, if you had any questions for him. Otherwise, I'm available as well, and thank you very much.
Any questions for Karen?
I guess the only question I have is on number 4. To me, inside a building, I don't know that lot is one that we want a whole ton of opaque fencing on. It just seems pretty front and center, and it's very exposed on 3 sides, and so I guess I'm hesitant to say opaque fencing anywhere. That's just my personal opinion, because there's kind of no back property line, in essence. That's just my thoughts.
Okay. Any other questions for Karen? If not, we'll open up the public hearing. If anybody would like to come and speak, just come to the mic, state your name and address. If not, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for a decision.
We gotta talk about that fence a little bit if you're a little concerned. I don't think, it's far enough back. It's not gonna, and we're not really telling him what he has to do, is that right? I mean, that's,
Can we say no opaque fencing on the 2 forward-facing lot lines? You know what I mean? Like, could we call, I would hate to end up with opaque fencing on that corner of the lot, I guess. I think that would be a bad look for Fergus.
I think his building is gonna be on the corner, isn't it, down the corner?
You talking about like a fence?
Well, just if we're gonna have any,
Just what rules are gonna be in there is what the,
right,
So you're saying on the,
on Western and on Lincoln would be
Right.
or Tower, I guess, Tower and Lincoln.
is your building gonna be that whole square block where the park is around, is it gonna be that big, or is it gonna be,
It's gonna be 20 by 44.
so you just don't know where, yeah, okay.
Yeah. 20 feet off the property line.
I mean, to
Both
me,
front and rear.
20 feet off the property line, right. So to me, I guess my concern with fencing would be in front of the building, wrapping around on Lincoln.
but you wouldn't, you
wouldn't do
the fender, because that's your view of the
You
vehicle.
would think, right, I mean, you would
Right.
think, I just think we need to make sure we write it.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it will impact the business at all. I mean, you have no intention of putting fencing in that area.
No, I want them to see my car.
Exactly. See car by car. Yeah, I guess I just think we just
So
need
if
to
we put
write
some
it.
verbiage in there, really probably is no impact anyway. But
Right.
it does probably make sense to do that.
Does that make sense? Karen, am I making
so
craziness out of this?
So just to be clear, you do not want the opaque screening for cars that are not in saleable condition to be either along Lincoln Avenue or the Tower Road frontage lines. So it would be limited to this lot line
And that
and
lot
this
line.
lot line.
That would be my thoughts.
And that's where he's gonna put them anyway.
Right, exactly.
The cars that aren't for sale aren't probably gonna be there, to be honest.
Right, exactly. On a small lot, you'd have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're saying something that is never going to be relevant, but I think we should just write it appropriately.
I'll make the motion with that update we just talked about, however you worded it. And, there you
I'll
go.
second that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So we'll go to the next public hearing, Pebble Hills Corporation preliminary and final plat to create a 7-lot subdivision.
Thank you. Yes, this is our second and final hearing for the evening. So this is a combined preliminary and final plat process, as stated, for a 7-lot subdivision. So this is right on the edge of city limits here. So this is little yellow-green line here is the municipal boundary. And the parcel that's being subdivided currently is both this parcel here, and the parcel ID also applies to approximately 15 acres on the other side of this platted scenic drive. However, this area in blue is the only area that's being platted and subdivided in this go-round, and it is approximately 4.98 acres. And this is, even though it's called the second edition, this is actually the fourth subdivision in this area. So it was originally annexed in 1996, and that first subdivision in our area occurred that year as well. The zoning for what's under consideration this evening is currently zoned R1, one family residence district. The remainder of the not subdivided parcels still remains RA. So if future plats were to come in, it would likely need to be rezoned at that time. But as you can see just from this map and the context map, and this is a single-family residence area. Oops. I know that these screens don't usually show the plats very well, so again, we can open up the PDFs for some more discussion if that is helpful. But this just shows the lot orientations. You'll notice that there is a walkway that's dedicated both to the west a little bit here and to the south a little bit here. So this subdivision will continue that walkway that has currently developed. And all of the 7 lots that are shown here do comply with those R1 single-family zoning requirements, such as the lot area, lot size, and those standards. For the public comments and staff review, these were also published in the Daily Journal and sent to property owners within 350 feet. We also do look at land that's in the county in these situations when it's close to the municipal boundary, but the land that's outside of the boundary is also owned by this property owner, Pebble Hills Corporation. We did not receive any public or inquiries from that outreach. And the information was shared internally with city staff as well as the DNR hydrologist, since this subdivision is within 1,000 feet of shoreland. And the engineering department noted that there will be deferred assessments that apply to this subdivision due to some prior utility work in the area. And also they noted that these lots themselves are served with municipal sewer, but not municipal water. And so this is just our utility map. So I know that we don't frequently show this one since we hear a lot of variances and conditional use permits throughout the year, but this blue line here is the municipal water. And the sort of beige line here is the sanitary sewer, with some of the laterals going into the proposed lots. So these comments just lead to the proposed findings, which are intended to show the recommended approval with the recommended condition. So this is, as we've stated, a single-family area as it has developed, and it's a proposed residential subdivision. So the municipal utilities, while the water may not be directly in the right-of-way that's serving these lots, will be addressed with a developer's agreement, which the Planning Commission has experienced recently, such as with the Westridge Mall subdivision that occurred earlier this year. So as stated, staff is recommending approval of the combined preliminary and final plat with the recommendation that the applicant enter into that developer's agreement for the provision of those remaining utilities. The applicant's engineering firm, Chris with More Engineering, is available via conference call, and I can take any questions as well. Thank you.
Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, everything sounded really good to me. I did, one thing I will mention, I guess. Craig Vaughn and I spoke this afternoon. He is the president of the owners group that owns the property, and he is agreeable to doing the developer's agreement and will definitely enter into that before, and understands that has to be done before the plat can be recorded.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Karen?
So would a contingency be to pay the past due assessments prior to the plat being recorded, or what contingency would that, how would that work?
Sure, so just to clarify, deferred assessments doesn't mean delinquent. So it's just that when those public infrastructure was built, due to the fact that the lots were undeveloped at the time, they were able to be deferred into the future. So now that, as we sort of talked about, this is kind of a strange situation where there's the one big parcel, even though it's got a right-of-way in between it. So now kind of the big assessment that's sitting on that combined parcel, will be split up so that the 7 lots will take their fair share.
So then next year, the first payment will be due, basically?
When it's developed.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's finish up with if there's any other questions from Commissioner Takar, and then we'll open up the public hearing. Okay, so we'll open up the public hearing. If you have a question, if you want to come up to the mic, just state your name and address would be awesome.
Oh, okay. I purchased a lot just, several months ago, and I guess, could you back the picture up to where you showed?
Can we, she's wondering what his name and address.
Name too while we're doing that.
Yeah, Dwayne Stegan. I actually live in Nordall Township, but I own a lot there, so that's why I'm here. But if you look on the lower road there, you'll see there's a house there. Ted Burrington lives there. It's the only home that's there on the left side of the proposed annexation or proposed lots. But anyway, so I purchased a lot next to Ted, and the city water comes in there, but the sewer line is in the street and then crosses over to the backside across the street. For me, I have the option to run to that manhole where Ted is in, but I know that there's several lots west of me, 4 lots, and I'm just kind of curious what the future is going to bring there, in that, I have paid, an assessment of $3,500, and I think that's for the water having been brought in. But I'm just kind of curious about the sewer in the future. Are they going to, if anybody builds on those other lots, are they going to bring a sewer line in later? Or are they going to have to, it's difficult for them to get to the sewer line because it's on the back of the lots across the street. So it's not really pertaining to this, but being as you sent me the letter, it kind of affects me about the planning of the sewer lines and such. For me, it's like, do I want to build and go to that? Because it's an extra long expense to have a little longer sewer main out to that manhole. As to, is there going to be any change because of this annexation, not annexation, of this development added on, where it would cause me to have like a double assessment where I ended up paying it again because it's going to, keep going. I wouldn't think the water would because it's already past me, but that's just kind of my concern, whatever they brought up. So I was just kind of curious. It's probably partly to do with the planning, the engineer and such, but it's just something that was of my concern, so I can plan ahead myself, So I guess that's what I got to say. So
Maybe that's a question for Chris, that, I don't know, if you could address that?
Sure. So as far as the sanitary sewer, those services are in along the road according to the municipal services map that's in the packet.
And just to clarify, Chris, this individual owns a lot that's just to the west
To the west.
of that home, that's sort of that edge of the previous subdivision. So
Okay.
the lot that he owns does not currently have municipal sanitary.
Correct, that does not. So I would assume that any service that would be added for that lot would be between the city and him versus this development, because this development already has the infrastructure in for the sanitary sewer. However, it does not for the water service.
And normally,
And that would be what would likely be extended in the developer's agreement. That would likely be extended at the cost of the developers for these 7 lots, not be assessed to others.
right, and I think normally sewer and water assessments are separate, so if we paid one, I would guess if the other were to be brought up, there'd probably be an assessment at that time, in general. You know what I mean? Like, just because you pay a water assessment doesn't mean necessarily you paid for sewer.
Which addition?
One thing about it, everybody that owns the lots to the west of you or north or whatever you want to call it of you, own the lots in front too. So I mean, they just bought those lots, somebody bought behind them. I think we went through this before when I was on the council. And so your lot was not serviced, but it could be serviceable, but nobody else would want, and you didn't, unless they sell it off down the road.
I own one of the adjoining lots, or just owned and just sold one of the adjoining lots. We did not own our back lot, and our back lot is still bare. It's in this part.
Which side,
I'm on the side across from that cul-de-sac is where we were that we just sold.
Okay, so then
And we did not have the back
you're a
lot.
couple down from Jurgensen, from Ben?
Yes,
Okay, to that way.
yeah, and we did not have our back lot.
Yeah, well, Jurgen's right next to me.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that's why I think when they did that, I don't think they just teed off to, the developers wanted to just go down to the south or to the west or whatever, however you want to call it.
I know like
Remember
Gorvigans
it,
have their back lot, a lot of people have their back lot.
But if you want to do it, you got to petition the city, and then they'll put it in, of course, and then they'll assess you.
Yeah.
But you won't get assessed for the water twice, just only
Yeah,
on the
right.
sewer.
Once it's there, yeah, okay. No, I was looking curious because the other lots are there, and it could be that maybe they sell, they get separated down the road.
And you just have to petition with the city.
Yeah.
I think talking to the city engineer would be a good place to start for you, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. What's the wishes of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Get a motion to approve, do we have a second?
Your turn. I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Any staff updates?
Thank you. Just briefly, I know last time that we met, the city council had requested thank you, Chris, had requested an update through the committee of the whole regarding the ordinance updates about the use tables, accessory buildings, and fences. So thank you to Vice Chair Kildee for coming to some of those 7 a.m. meetings and the council meeting as well. But that ordinance was approved with the removal of the 2-foot fence setback requirement and just some clarification to some of the wording about fencing. So that actually went into effect today. So I know that was a very long process for the Planning Commission, and we made it, so. And just a second update, December 2021 applications. So our deadline for the December meeting still goes through the end of this week. I do not have an application, but I do have an interested party. And so I think we just wanted to speak with those of you who are here to see if we even have a chance at a quorum. This would be December 27th, so it is the first meeting after Christmas. So you can feel free to even just sort of check your calendars as we close the meeting here. If we can have a sense, we would need 4 members. If there isn't a chance at a quorum, I would just advise the applicant of that and maybe
Is the
look at
applicant time sensitive?
Not in my opinion, but,
may feel differently.
applicants sometimes always,
I
I'll be
can
here.
be here.
I'll be here.
okay.
Vern, you think you'll be here?
Pardon?
27th, you think you'll be here?
Should be, yeah.
Okay. All right, so if they are interested in moving forward for December, we'll let them know. Clara, are there any other updates that we're forgetting?
No, I think that's all of it.
Has one question, has the joint group met on the whole group housing situation?
I need to send that email, thank you.
No, sorry. I just didn't know if we had any developments with that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
all I have.
Nothing else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Move second.
All in favor? Adjourned.
Bye. Did you get
Thanks,
the name
everybody.
you needed? Jill, did you get the name you needed?
See ya.
Did you get the name? Oh, you're good.
The people that are present don't have their names up, the people that aren't do.
They're the council members. That's the council. They just took them out for the.
Oh,